Alright, now that we're getting power to the starter, let's see if we can get the starter gear to engage the flywheel gear. And if you look right to the right here, that's the starter gear, and your teeth on the left is your flywheel. Those teeth have to come up and grab the teeth of this flywheel and try to spin it. So let's give it a go. And that starter is not popping up. It's not popping up and doing its job. So this isn't an Onan engine, which is discontinued, doesn't exist anymore. So I'm tempted to pull that starter off and see if we can, you know what? It's an old trick. If you bang on the starter while trying to start, okay, let's pull the starter off. Okay, so because this battery positive goes straight to the start solenoid here, we want to disconnect that. I don't want to get surprises, do you? Is that gonna fit? No, it's not gonna fit. Have to get a socket for that. And there's our trigger wire. We'll take that off. Now I see one bolt holding it on here. I'm kind of hoping that's the only bolt holding it on, because if there's another bolt on the other side, we are going to have to take this top shroud off, and that is a bear. I'd rather not do that. Let's loosen up this one. See if it comes with. A lot of engines, the starters you can take on and off without messing too much with the shrouds, so let's see how that goes. But yeah, that banging on the starter trick, that will actually just help my father-in-law with that a couple weeks ago. The truck wouldn't start, you bang on the starter as you try turning it over and it'll go. That's usually a good sign to drive it to a mechanic or order a starter. We're probably going to find out why these engines are discontinued at this point, if this turns into be a... Yep, it's got to be bolted on the other side too. Oh, we didn't want to do it, but we are going to do it. We are going to take this top shroud off. So remember, the throttle is mounted to the front of this thing, and what I believe to be the distributor cap as well. Couple of 3/8 bolts back here. One's holding on our battery ground. Put that sucker on the seat. And we have our fuel pump here. Okay, so the back end of this shroud is ready to go. We just gotta get the stuff holding it on the front end. Couple more 3/8 bolts on the front. This one's holding the knock sensor. Alright, it's not a knock sensor. Is it a magnet pickup? If you know what that is, if you know owning engines and you know what that is, let me know. Alright, we know the throttle cable's gotta come off. Let's mark that with paint pen. So we know exactly where that's sat. And the same thing with the hole that it goes in. We can mark that, we can mark that. Can you see what I'm doing? So I marked the holes that this guy was in, and this guy, and then I marked where the throttle cable is, because this bracket's attached to the shroud. Take the cables off of this thing as well. How does that come off? Flathead. Oh! And we broke it. It's like a zip tie. Interesting. Alright, throttle cable off, those cables are off. There's only one more bolt. Okay. Get some light up in there. Methinks we want bopped you. Okay, I'm wondering, because there's still tons of wires going to this distributor cap, which we can take off our spark plug wires. Maybe we can just lift this and get it out of the way. You just lift this off to the side without disconnecting everything. Choke lever is getting in the way. Oh, we gotta take out that choke lever. Oh, look. There is a little bit of a mouse nest. Okay, there's our choke line that we want to take out. Let's mark that again just like the other one so we get the spot right. When we hook it back up so we don't have to fiddle with it. It's kind of a bad angle with this exhaust sitting here. Goodness. Alright, can we tilt this out of the way now? I'm thinking we'll get more clearance to pull that out with this shroud off, which it's got some 1/2-inch bolts connecting to it. Curious if that starter's shot and we can't get another one because this motor is discontinued. I'm hoping we can fix the starter. If there's a screw that needs to get, or not a screw, a spring, like if it's not popping up that starter gear or something. Either way, this project might come to a screeching halt if we can't get that starter to work. And then I'm thinking, should we go get like a Harbor Freight vertical shaft engine to slap in here and repower this thing with a Harbor Freight engine, which I don't know how much those overhead engine cost. You gotta get a 20 horse one. That might be worth looking up. Okay, that's better than. Let's see if we can pull this thing more out of the way now. Yeah. I'm happy with that. This must be that's your crankcase breather. Leave that in there for now. Alright, let's go back to the starter. Let us be mindful, if we get to the point where we get this engine running or not running, that there might be a problem with this cylinder because of how much insulation was packed in there. If that got overheated, that's an issue. Okay, now that we get a better view of the starter, that was the first bolt we took off. And then further back you can see that's where the other bolt's going to be underneath. So, let's see if we can get up under here. Got a deep well 1/2-inch socket. Yep. Well, maybe we didn't have to take that shroud off anyways, but I'm glad we did, because we took that. We were able to get that mouse nest, and then we'll have a good look at all the cylinder heads if we need to get in that far. Oh, you got it? Oh, you missed. Oh! There it is! To the bench! There it is. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Onan, I believe that's Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi? Made in Japan. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I went online and I found one already for 58 bucks. That spins relatively freely, with enough resistance that there's a motor in there. What do you think? Should we try to pop this thing open? I mean, it's already dickered, right? Let's see what we can do. Oh. Behold, the original impact pedal. fits in there nice. Push down. Let's see. Yeah, that's turning the right way. Well, lo and behold, look at that. That one looks extremely rusty. Rusty. Get that out of the way. I was not thinking. You could see that sucker was starting to strip when I was using the hand tools. I'm gonna get a pick. Just to try to clean that out as best as possible to give us a fighting chance for this thing for coming out. Be like a dentist. I want to be a dentist. Name that movie. If you're still watching and you know the movie I'm talking about, I want to be a dentist. Leave it in the comments. Alright, can we do 2 for 2? Oh! I'm impressed. I am impressed. This is it's a Capri tool. Many different brands make them, but it's impact. Whenever you bang, you hammer down on this, it gives it like a quarter turn to loosen. And lo and behold, it worked. Now I'm guessing, even though the tractor is American, those probably aren't, they're probably not standard. They're probably 8mm? Yeah. Yeah, they're 8mm. I'm probably going to have to take the start solenoid off to pull this off all the way, but yeah, there's, maybe not. It's not a bearing in the back, it's a brass sleeve. So, this back plate holds the brushes up against, which I pulled it down. But these brushes have tons of life on them. Thinking I'm going to pop these off, then we should be able to pull that armature out of there. Let's do that. Let's get a needle nose and take these springs off. Let's take off this nut here so we can pull this apart. See what's going on up in here. Because I think the actual motor part's good.
Oh. You don't have to touch them, just point them. This is Rebecca. That is Diana. That's Diana. And you know that was Pop Pop. And that's Puppy. And that is Smalls, right? Yes. It is Smalls. Caroline, what's your new chicken's name? My new chicken is Daisy. Daisy. And this one is Lisa.
Well, that was the issue. Is that this didn't want to travel all the way up. Yeah, and I probably just worked way out of the camera, so you didn't see that. So when this motor spins, it creates enough centrifugal force to spin this up. Then when the motor starts, this falls back down. So, and that grease in there looks really old and nasty. So I'm thinking that this thing was rusted in place down here, but you can see some rust marks. So I wonder if we clean this up. Clean this up and put it back together. If that'll work, because before it wasn't, this starter gear wasn't coming up to the top and engaging. Let me lube this up. Alright, so we lubed this up good enough to where when you want that starter gear and this spins, it'll come up and engage the flywheel. And then when that flywheel takes off and runs by the engine, this piece has like a, I think it's called a sprag clutch, where it will spin one way and then it locks up as it spins the other way. So activate your flywheel, drive the flywheel. Once that flywheel takes off, this will spin freely and drop back down. So that's what it wasn't doing. It wasn't riding up as it spun. So I think now that this is well lubed and broken free, I'm going to put this back together and see. Alright, well, after much fiddle farting around, we're getting the starter back together. So we'll be able to slap it on there and see if just by loosening it up and giving it some lube, if that's what we wanted to do. Let's try it out. Alright, battery's hooked up. Nothing's in the way of the engine flywheel. Turns over, baby. Alright, we got the starter to work. Next thing to do would be to check for spark. If we got spark on both cylinders, we can squirt some starting fluid in there and see if we can get this thing to turn over. So we'll try that on the next video. Thanks for watching. If you like hanging out in the shop, consider subscribing. Hit that like button. If you like hearing chickens in the background, we're raising some chicks. We'll see you on the next one.